Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to another video here on the channel. This is going to be some more Sims 4 Occult discussions, which this is like the second episode in this little mini discussion series thing that I have going on that I thought would be sort of fun to do. If you missed the previous one, I will have a link down in the description below to that video. Eventually it'll be there should be a whole playlist for this little mini-series as well, so if you miss any of them, you can always check the description down below. And if you like this little mini-series so far, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss the next one and other videos here on the channel. In the last one, I basically told what this little series was going to be about, and also talked about the 3 current occults that are already in the game, and like what I liked about them and what I wish there would have been more of, or something like that. In this one, we're going to move on to occults that are not in the game, and start going into the ones that, if they make it to the game, what I would like to see from those said occults. Now, there is one that I really want to talk about, which is sort of surprising that I actually really want to talk about, but I'm putting 2 certain occults before I start talking about it, just partially because one of them is almost very obviously coming, and then the other one sort of ties in with one that's actually already in the game, and then also the one that I'm going to be talking about in this video. So those 2 I'm going to talk about first. But anyway, the one that we're going to be talking about in this video is going to be witches, or wizards and warlocks and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Magic. Pretty much at this point, it's almost expected that they're coming. If they're not coming in the Realm of Magic pack, I'm going to be strongly disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. If it's just gonna be like talent shows, magic tricks, and sort of that sort of stuff, I'm gonna be very strongly disappointed. Like, I was so disappointed. And especially since it's called Realm of Magic, I feel like there's gotta be a new world coming. Like, it's probably not gonna be big. It's probably gonna be like Forgotten Hollow size, which, yeah, it's a game pack. That's okay. I don't expect game packs to necessarily have very big worlds. It's my expansion packs that I expect to have big worlds. Del Sol Valley. Anyway, yeah, there definitely feels like there should be witches that come with a world, so like a world that witches like sort of go to hang out and be together, and like obviously, just like any of the other games, you don't necessarily have to put your wouldn't have to put them in that world, but that's where the world of like their origins is. Now, talking about what I would want from witches, a lot of the things seem like they'd be obvious. I feel like this is one of the obvious occults that, you know, they should be able to do spells and, like, make potions and brews and stuff like that. But, you know, I hope that they expand on those things just a little bit more, not just being able to do, like, little simple, silly spells and be able to brew potions and concoctions that do different things. Though those are cool, and I do hope they're a part of them, like, you know, maybe a concoction that helps extend your life, or like if there's someone who doesn't like the doctor's medicines, they can make like potions for like being like a medicine to make them not so sick, like make them not get sick or feel better or whatever. Or like ones basically almost like some of the reward things where you can make like where you can buy sleeper placements, but like the witches actually have a thing of making it. Now, obviously, that was one of my complaints with the aliens, was the fact that one of their powers was also sort of similar to a reward trait that a regular sim got. But in this case, with the potions, I feel like that's a little bit different. Like, let the witches be able to actually make those. And honestly, the way they look, like the little potions that your sims can get from that reward store, they have like a rope tied around them with like some sort of wooden stick. That honestly, to me, has always screamed witches like potion to me. Like, it just looks like that type of feel and stuff. So if the witches could actually make those, that would be pretty cool. Like, that you wouldn't have to, granted they're only like 100 satisfaction points, but you know, if you didn't have to like actually buy those, and you can use your satisfaction points on something else, and those aren't necessarily anything that's like a game changer, like strong game changer. I just think it'd be cool for the witches to be able to do that. But my big things that I would really like to see is the spells that they could maybe do have a system similar or like along the lines of how they did like the celebrity points and the vampires powers. So, you know, like have that little menu and you sort of get to pick the different ones, but I hope that theirs is like split in half. And what I mean like that is like you can either go on the path of light magic or the path of like dark magic. Now there is a mod technically out there that for like wizards and witches, and they can have that light magic, like the alignment of light and dark magic. I like how I just reversed them compared to what I just did earlier. But which was really cool, and I liked that mod, but I feel like that mod almost was too crazy. It was like the Sims didn't have many consequences for doing certain things, and like there was like no full limit of their powers. And this goes back to what I stated in the first one. I feel like these occults should have pros and cons. Something, obviously they have these powers, they have these abilities, they're a little bit more special, different from a normal sim, but technically there should still be like checks and balances in play that allows them not to be too crazily over the top compared to sim. Like, still have a sim be a chance to be like a normal sim, have a chance to be like, oh yeah, or whatever. Now obviously with witches and wizards, there is a way that they'll probably have a way that the regular sims can randomly become them. With most of the cults, there is some sort of way, whether a vampire turns you. I think there is like something that you can eat to become a mermaid. I'm still not quite sure because I'm, haven't got to fully go in depth with gameplay and stuff there, but there are like ways to turn your normal sims into those, and I'm sure that normal sims can be witches or wizards. I feel like maybe if you're born from someone who's already a witch and wizard, maybe that gives you an advantage in learning magic easier or whatever, or being able to have more of a natural feel for it. But one of the things I was really thinking about was with the light and dark magic, like especially on the dark magic, light magic tends to be very good things that are good for nature, and all that sort of stuff, while dark magic is very risky stuff, very stuff that is like a little questionable and stuff like that. And I feel like if your sim does choose to go down that path of dark magic, I feel like there should be some sort of consequence. And even if you go like light magic, I don't know. I know in the mod that someone, I can't even think who made it actually, because I personally did not get it in my game. I've just seen other YouTubers and streamers use it, and I cannot remember who they said it was from, but I think it's classed as a dark magic, but in some ways, like, it seems like a good thing to me, so maybe it could be light magic. I'm not too in-depth, like, full in-depth to knowing, like, what's, like, the history and stuff behind witches, like, in real-life terms. And, like, the stories, the full-depth stories of them, but to me, bringing someone back to life is something good. Like, you're giving them a second chance. Yeah, it's going against sort of the laws of nature and everything, so I think that's part of the reason why it's technically classed as a dark magic, which is understandable, but at the same time, I could see it being considered as a good thing as well. But I feel like that's something that should have a consequence because of the fact that you are going against nature, you're going against fate and destiny, you're bringing that person who was supposed to be dead back to life. And I feel like that sim should either, like, if they have their like little life bar here and they're like a young adult and they're only like here, it should raise up to like where they're almost adult or something like that, or like there should be like a percentage that it raises up, and who knows, it may like toss them into where they have to age up to an adult or something like that. Like, they've given this person a second chance, but it took some of their life essence as they did it. So, like, sort of those type of things. Like, certain spells should have consequences on them. And if you have seen me talk about it before, there's a show that I really, really love, and it's called The Originals. Now, The Originals does focus a lot more on vampires than anything. And it's actually a spin-off of the show called Vampire Diaries, which I did not know until after the fact. After I'd basically watched all of the originals. And I honestly never watched Vampire Diaries because what the feel that it gave to me was that it was like a silly teen vampire romance type thing that didn't have like a real vampire, or at least my interpretation of real vampire feel was going to be a little bit close to Twilight Princess? What? Legend of Zelda's on my brain. Just regular Twilight. Twilight should never be mixed with Twilight Princess. I have done a horrible thing just now because Legend of Zelda does not deserve that that mix up anyway. I guess I don't even like thinking about normal Twilight, that my brain was like, Zelda's better. So anyway. So, I would prefer my vampires to be a little bit more darker, a little bit more scarier. Oh, obviously I like the fact that you can have a vampire that's not totally dark or whatever, but I definitely don't want them like Twilight type. So that's why I didn't watch the Vampire Diaries at first. But towards I started watching it, and towards like the further you get, the more it leans away from that little teen girly romantic flick or whatever. So so I like it more now than I did. But yeah, the originals especially showed off witches quite a bit as well, and werewolves, and actually the balance in between the three. So I really liked that. And the thing with the witches in that show that I would actually sort of like maybe see some sort of attempt at is the fact that the witches have like a community feel to them. Basically, there was like different groups of witches. I forgot what like covens. That's the word. There was different covens, but in the end, witches got along usually with most other witches except for like the travelers. They were like a different type. Different covens. I forgot the word coven again, like that. And stuff like that. And within the coven, there was a very strong bond. Even if they wasn't family, it was almost like they were. And especially if they actually were family, if they were blood passed down, they were very close and tight and such. So I would like to see that, like, even like when witches like run into other witches and wizards, maybe they immediately build friendship up with them faster, especially if they're in like the same like group or coven or whatever, and they build that friendship up faster just simply because they are both witches or wizards and they're from the same coven or whatever. So sort of that sort of element, so that they have this tight bond, that because the witches tend to, in that show, that for the most part, there obviously was some that were like outliers, or certain covens that were against the rest of them and stuff like that. Not all of them got along. There's gonna be that, which is fine. There's gonna be tension, but just seeing that, maybe that like connection or whatever that they have, because they had connection to other people in their family, really strong connections to family members, coven members, and nature. So I would personally prefer to see like the witches be like that. Like, witches were sort of like the ones that tried to balance and keep nature a balance. That's why there was ways to kill vampires and ways that counteract against them weaknesses. Even though they had all this power and they were technically immortal, there was still a failsafe, basically, so that nature would stay more balanced. So I definitely would like to see something along that line. I'd like a strong like nature vibe and things like that. Like using what's around you, the environment, the forest, like different things, like just those sort of things. I would definitely really prefer that. Obviously, if they were to do like a light magic, dark magic would be less involving nature, because that's more of like taking balance out of things, dark magic is, and light magic is more of keeping balance. So if you go down more the dark magic path, that's when like things would start to deter, and maybe nature gets out of balance or something, or maybe even like the world that they make for Realm of Magic is altered depending on your sims, like the different sims, how many's in light magic or dark magic, or I don't know. I think that would go too in depth for maybe a game pack, but you know what I'm just trying to say, like, these are some ideas that I would have that I would really like to see for witches, and would like give them more depth and give them something interesting other than just giving them the ability to make potions and brews and cast like little simple silly spells, and actually make them like have more depth and work up to bigger spells and things like that, and let them decide which side they want to be on, and give them more of like a community feel, because I feel like most of the stuff that I watch that I really like the witches in, they have that community feel. They have a bond with other witches and especially family members or witches within their group. They have a bond with almost immediately. So I definitely would like those different things to play into effect and such. And I definitely look forward to them coming in general. I almost feel, just from watching the originals, but then a few other things, that having vampires, witches, and werewolves together would be super nice, just because they sort of seem like they almost all sort of cohesively go together in a lot of the shows that I personally watch, and it actually makes sense for them to go together at this point to me. But in general, I think witches are something that a lot of people can have fun with. So, like, I don't want them necessarily to go completely, like, crazy and involve, like, super crazy dark magic, but I definitely would like them to try to have something, and for there to be consequences for using magic. And even if you use light magic, I feel like maybe it should drain your energy after a while, or, like, maybe you have, like, the vampires have, like, the, oh, what is their bar called? I don't remember what their bar is called, but they have the bar that eventually they can't use powers anymore, and if that bar completely depletes and they go out in the sun, that's when they die from sunlight. So I feel like maybe witches can maybe have like a little magic bar or something like that, and as they cast spells, that bar eventually goes down, and for a certain period of time they can't cast spells, or they gotta like rest up and things like that. So like basically having balances. That's the key point to basically any occults that they add. They need a balance. Like, they don't need to completely have just pros, or they only have like one or two cons that don't really outweigh the pros. I feel like there should be a really good balance. As far as having fun gameplay, though, I will say if one of them had to be a little bit more than the other, I'd say pros need to be a little bit above cons, just for fun gameplay, and also because you have different players out there. Not everyone's going to be full on board with having their sims have to have a lot of limitations after a certain point or something. Like, you know what I'm trying to say. Or hopefully you do. But, so yeah, I ended up talking about witches a little bit longer than I thought I was going to, but I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If so, don't forget to hit that like button. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree with any of my statements, or if you had anything to add, or if there's something that I actually didn't mention that you would like to see come with witches, and like be a part of the witches and wizards, witches, warlocks, those, that. So I definitely would like to hear from you all and have like some discussion down in the comments as well, because this is Sims 4 occult discussion, so discussion, have it go both ways. And if there's like quite a few comments that bring up quite a few points, I'll probably have like a follow-up video that's like a follow-up discussion, like bringing more key points that maybe y'all bring in that I didn't think about, that I was like, oh, these are some really good key points and stuff like that. Let me like make a video and talk about it in the video so that more people can sort of join into that discussion and stuff like that. So definitely let me know down there in the comments below. In the description will be all of my social medias and also playlists, including the playlist for this one. So if like you're behind or something like that, and I've already gotten a few more discussion videos out, and you want to see those, you can click on that playlist and go catch up on the ones that you've missed. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!